Top 10 Strongest Militaries in Africa. Welcome to Omon Age App. On today's countdown, we will be talking about the top 10 strongest militaries in Africa this 2019. But before we start, tell us what country you are from in the comments section below. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos. Number 10. Libya. Libya is the 10th most powerful African country in terms of military strength. With an estimated sum of $3 billion set aside as defense budget, Libya is considered as one of the African countries that spend massively on the military. Out of Libya's overall population of 6.3 million people, about 76,000 people make up the country's active military personnel. With regard to weaponry, Libya is reinforced with 46 aircraft alongside 400 tanks, making Libya's military the 10th strongest military force in Africa. Number 9. Angola. Another country with one of the strongest military in Africa is Angola. Angola is one of the African countries that boast of military potential, and consequently, the country claims the 9th spot among Africa's strongest military forces. From Angola's overall population, a considerable amount of 3 million people are considered eligible for military service. However, as regards to its active military, Angola is buttressed with 107,000 personnel, while its military armaments comprise of 270 aircraft coupled with 140 tanks. What do you think? Number 8. Tunisia. Tunisia is one of the countries located in the northern region of Africa. It is ranked as the 8th strongest African country in terms of military. Out of Tunisia's overall population, about 35,800 personnel make up the active military front line. In terms of weaponry, Tunisia's air force is bulwarked with 139 aircraft, while the country's arsenal houses 350 tanks. However, the government of Tunisia strengthens the country's military sector with a considerable sum of $600 million set aside as defense budget, making Tunisia's military the 8th strongest military in Africa. Number 7. Morocco. Morocco claims the 7th spot on the list of Africa's strongest military forces. The overall population of Morocco is estimated at 33 million people, and from this estimate, a fair number of personnel make up the country's military. According to the figures obtained about Morocco's military, a total of 195,800 personnel make up Morocco's active frontline military. In the aspect of weaponry, Morocco's air force is strengthened with 323 aircraft, while its arsenal consists of 1,348 tanks. Furthermore, the Moroccan government strengthens the country's military with an estimated sum of $3.4 billion set aside as the country's defense budget. Number 6. Kenya. The 6th strongest military in Africa this year is the Kenyan military, with a total of 24,120 personnel, who make up its active frontline military. Kenya claims the 6th spot on the list of Africa's strongest military forces. Significantly, Kenya's military sector is buttressed with a massive population of military personnel. Out of the country's entire population, about 2 million people make up the military sector. In terms of military personnel, Kenya has one of the largest in Africa. As regards the defense budget, the government of Kenya sets aside a considerable sum of $595 million. Number 5. Nigeria. Although Nigeria has experienced a series of rebellious attacks, the country has one of the most powerful military forces in Africa. In this regard, Nigeria takes the 5th spot on today's countdown. Had it not been for its recurring nightmare of corruption, political disorder and absence of modern armaments, Nigeria could have ranked higher than the 5th position on Africa's list of strongest military forces. Nevertheless, Nigeria maintains enormous weaponry which consists of 6,000 logistical vehicles, 360 tanks coupled with 1,400 armored vehicles. As regards to its air force, Nigeria is strengthened with 25 sophisticated naval vessels alongside 300 aircrafts. The Nigerian government sets aside a total of $3 billion as the country's defense budget. Number 4. South Africa. South Africa possesses the 4th strongest military in Africa. The country has a total of 63,000 active personnel and a modernized military technology reinforced with effective naval vessels and aircraft. Besides its active military, South Africa boasts of 17,000 personnel, who make up its military reserve. As regards to naval strength, South Africa is rated at 30, while the military armaments consist of 213 aircraft and 191 tanks. Likewise, South Africa ranks well in the aspect of its defense budget. Currently, the South African government has a sum of $5 billion set aside as defense budget, which makes the South African military the fourth strongest military in Africa. Number 3. Ethiopia. On the third spot on today's countdown is Ethiopia. Ethiopia is Africa's third strongest nation in terms of military strength. It has one of the most sophisticated military personnel in the African continent. In the aspect of military armaments, the country's military sector is buttressed with 81 aircraft coupled with 560 tanks. Ethiopia's military sector is further strengthened with a total of 3,000 personnel, who make up its air force. Likewise, the country has a total of 138,000 active personnel, who make up its ground force, making the Ethiopian military one of the strongest military in Africa. Number 2. Algeria. Another country with one of the strongest military in Africa is Algeria. Algeria takes the second spot with a total of 120,000 active military personnel. Algeria possesses a massive total of 1,500 armored vehicles, and this makes Algeria one of the African countries with the most sophisticated armed forces. Algeria's military power surpasses those of other African countries. The government of Algeria has spent heavily on the military sector. For this reason, Algeria has a whopping sum of $11 billion set aside for its defense budget. Number 1. Egypt. In terms of military strength, Egypt is regarded as Africa's strongest nation. It has been observed that Egypt dominates Africa with its tremendous military strength, which makes up the largest armed force in Africa. Egypt maintains this spot with the help of its solid military equipment, which includes 1,100 aircraft coupled with 4,767 tanks. Did you know that Egypt is Africa's largest producer of well-equipped military personnel? Besides being Africa's major military powerhouse, Egypt is undoubtedly one of the world's strongest producers of military personnel. Egypt has a rare tank reserve of 800,000 personnel, coupled with a total of 438,500 active personnel. When it comes to defense budgeting, Egypt also ranks well globally with an estimated $7.85 billion. That brings us to the end of today's video. Thanks for watching, and hey, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos.